What time is it, Shane?
It's time to get positive about Star Trek.
We are going to be talking about Strange New Worlds. And yes, I gotta be honest, this was a definite return to form, like we hoped. And frankly speaking, we did predict that it would be a return to form. But we were like, we think it'll be a return to form, but really we're like, we really hope it will be. And everything that we saw, every news, every interview, every clip, every story synopsis, all gave us the impression that this would be a return to form. And I gotta tell you, at least with the first episode, my friends, they delivered.
Yeah, this is if you guys haven't seen Strange New Worlds yet, we're gonna definitely be spoilering this thing down. And I gotta tell you, it was good. I mean, and part of me is wondering, I keep asking myself, is it good because like the bar is so low on Trek? I really had to take time to think about it. And I got to tell you, there's a reason why we liked Anson Mount as Captain Pike in Discovery season 2. There's a reason.
Yeah. And
it just pops on the screen, boom, from the beginning. That dude is so charismatic. I mean, it's unbelievable. He just embodies that role as a captain, as a Starfleet captain. And he's got that James T. Kirk, cowboy feel that you kind of want in that chair sometimes.
Right. So one thing though, the ship that number 1 is on, it looks so weird to me. Why does it look so weird?
Why does it look weird?
Yeah, it looks like a bad drawing of the Enterprise, right?
I mean, there were different class vessels.
I know, but this one I've never seen before, I don't think. It looks like it's just the saucer section with one nacelle.
I don't know. Well, is that one nacelle? It's really dark. It's kind of hard to see.
It's one nacelle. Yeah, just one.
It's one nacelle.
Yeah.
All right.
It's very weird to me. I mean, it's fine. I'm not mad. This is not a problem. I'm just saying that I guess it makes sense that it exists, but like my mind was like, oh, something's wrong. It's like uncanny valley because I'm so used to seeing the Enterprise.
Like what's interesting is this, the name of the ship is the USS Archer.
Oh, that's cool.
So, which is cool because it's, Enterprise captain, from earlier.
The first, right?
The planet they're at is Kylie 279. And of course we learned that Una number 1 is there for first contact.
Right. She's there for first contact, which is great. Everything's fine. All right. We get to Bear Creek, Montana. Our boy's watching some classic sci-fi.
Yeah. He's watching, The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yep. There's an attractive woman in his bed. So far, everything's screaming masculine out the gate. I'll tell you this right now. Oh man, this food makes me so hungry.
You got hungry than pancakes.
And then we see
that bearded monster.
That giant, glorious beard. This boss, man. He's
back in the day, we would have called him Grizzly Adams.
Grizzly
I don't remember that show.
He was great, man. Yeah, and he's having dinner now. He's having breakfast with what appears to be a captain.
Yes, Captain Batal.
So his girlfriend is a captain.
Yes. She looks a lot younger than him, but
a lot younger. Which, bro.
When you get up close, you can kind of see the lines, but
get it, bro. Get it. No problem.
What?
Do what you got to do. I have no problem with the youth, but I feel like she does look she's a little too young to be a captain, but whatever. On the same note, this doesn't break any canon, right? Because we knew nothing about his personal life. So
we know very little about him. And I do want to point out, if we could, he went through the Day the Earth Stood Still pretty quickly. But the character in that movie, Klaatu, he's actually giving a speech about freedom and aggression by groups. Then he's basically saying these aggression can't be tolerated. He's saying you have the freedom to act responsibly. And his message very much mirrors what the Federation does in the future of that film.
Oh,
it was very, very intriguing. So cool. Go ahead.
Cool. Yeah. And so she's like, hey, when are you going to get back to your ship? His phone's ringing, his communicator's ringing. And he's like, nah, I'm not going back, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And so he's bummed out. So what he experienced with the Discovery, this is a little weird though. So at the end of Discovery, he's on the bridge of the Enterprise, and he's like, all right, let's go. Hit it. And they're going to go out on their mission or whatever, but apparently they were hitting it just to go home.
Well, we don't really know. I mean, we do know at some point the demons started haunting him. You know, when he was on that, when he was on Borath, that Klingon moon, you know, we find out in this episode that not only did he see his own death, but he experienced his own death. He like felt himself dying. And so the experience that he went through, obviously, maybe he hadn't, you know, maybe it hadn't caught up with him yet. Maybe he had time to think about it, because now he's seeing it everywhere.
That makes complete sense. But like at the end of Discovery, where they're like, "Where to, Captain?" He's like, "We're gonna go explore." And
they didn't know they were making a series at that point.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, it's going to be hard to tie that back in. You know, you don't know, honestly, you don't know what they did between that point and him being in Montana.
That's true.
You don't know if they did some stuff and he had some. You don't know what happened. We don't know.
Yeah, there couldn't have been a whole lot that happened, but I'll just give it to him that, you know, Discovery.
Why couldn't there have been a whole lot that happened? They could have gone on 5 missions or 6 missions. They could have done stuff.
The answer could have just been Discovery just sucked, and this is where we're at now. So let it go.
But that part of Discovery didn't suck.
Right. You're right. You're right. They didn't know they were making a series. That's what it was.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, he's haunted by his demons. He's getting calls. His girlfriend's like, pick up your phone. She's like, I'm actually going out on my ship. You know, when I get back, I'll see you, but I hope you're not here. Blah, 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 blah.
I love that she said your phone is ringing.
Right.
Because it's a communicator.
Right. It's a communicator.
But it didn't feel weird because it felt almost, because it's such an early version of Star Trek, earlier version, it didn't feel weird that she said phone.
Right.
You know?
Right. And to be honest, like the communicators look like phones back then. In the TOS era, they look like phones to me.
Yeah, for our time frame, yeah.
Right. Yeah, so he's on his horse. You know, one thing, this is not nitpicky. This is not nitpicky. This is not a criticism of Star Trek, but I'm criticizing pop culture here. Everyone always thinks that the windmill thing is like the future, when it's literally the least efficient way to gather electricity. I'm just saying. Okay.
All right. And we say though that it's the most visually representation of a future that's got better energy,
which is why you see these stupid things everywhere, because like it looks good, it looks great, blah, blah, but the carbon footprint to make and maintain these things is there's a negative energy output here, guys. So
it's cool driving through.
Very cool.
Driving up and seeing a bunch of them, though.
It's very cool looking. I get it, but it's there's more politics there than actual energy harvesting, and
all right,
it's fine. True. But whatever, it's fine.
It's futuristic looking, man.
I know. Strange New Worlds had the windmills. I mean, sorry.
I mean, they're in Montana. You know how hard it was to make something look futuristic up there.
I know. True that. No, in the Multiverse of Madness, there's the windmills too, and I was like, oh god, windmills. Everything's windmills, man. All right, so so they're like, he's not answering his phone. We're just gonna find him, and that's when this is actually the very first Captain Enterprise was Archer, but the previous Captain Enterprise was this guy, right?
Yeah, this is Admiral Robert April. He was Pike's old captain, and he was actually in the if you go back to the animated series, he was a Commodore.
Cool. I love the new title sequence, but we've seen it before. But
he's basically ordering him to go, because I love that he's basically saying, "Yeah, send somebody else." He goes, "You don't." What did he say? He goes, "You don't want me on that ship." And he goes, you got me confused with yourself, because you don't want to go on that ship." And I'm like, "Oh, that was a pretty clever line."
Right.
Cool. That was good.
So he's got to go and he's going to jump on the ship, and he's going to pick up Spock, and they're going to go and find number one. Okay. So this is the Spock moment, and I'm very happy here.
Me too.
That T'Pring is just drop dead gorgeous. Thank God.
I'm so sorry. We skipped over it really quick, but at the end of the intro, I want to tell you that the intro that you were just showing is the best Star Trek intro yet. Of all the new Trek, this is the best Star Trek intro. and they got that classic TOS whistle at the end. That TOS woo. I just love that. Love that.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, T'Pring.
T'Pring is drop dead gorgeous. My goodness.
Okay.
I mean, she is just like absolutely stunning, whoever this actress is. And she does a great job. She is emotionless. She's a Vulcan. She's probably playing a better Vulcan than Ethan Peck plays Vulcan. So, no, not trying to throw shade. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Because I understand what you said, that we're going to see, like, the Spock we're seeing, we're not yet at TOS, and pre-TOS, he was a little more emotional or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's a good explanation. And I'm gonna inject what you said into my head as canon, so that I can enjoy it, everything, because he does have like a lot of emotion in this, even in the first episode. It's yep. And I'm gonna chalk it up to, this is pre-TOS Spock, and he was emotional until he's figured out how to deal with his two halves, and so he had some emotion, So that's fine.
The character changed when they made the pilot, and then they went in to actually make the series. Spock was adjusted to be emotionless.
Yeah, so he's playing pre-Spock adjustment.
He's playing this pre-Spock adjustment.
Okay, which is fine. It's fine.
Which, by the way, if you watch Star Trek TOS and then go back and then watch, if you hadn't seen the pilot and then you watch it, Spock looks really creepy.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, it's still Leonard Nimoy. And he's just like, you're just like, oh gosh, I hate seeing Spock like that. So I get why it's cringe.
He actually has a similar haircut to the one to the one that Ethan Peck has now.
Right.
In the original one, he has like, his hair is a little less perfect and a little more like evil looking,
Yeah.
So I don't know if they meant to do that or they're just trying to make him look sexy, but
Spock was supposed to be red. Right. But you couldn't see it on black and white.
Yeah, and they were like, people are these Bible Belt people are gonna have a problem with like the pointy.
He's the devil,
devil character running around.
Right.
Yeah. So damn, T'Pring's a good looking woman. So it's interesting. So
by the way, the actress's name is Gia Sandhu. In case you're
write that down.
Check for later.
Gia. Okay. Anyways, I'm joking. I know.
So this is interesting here because
outside of Pon Farr, they're about to get down, right?
Yeah. So T'Pring asks Spock to marry her, and Spock basically says, "Oh, I was wondering if you were going to ask." So like, okay, this is another part of Vulcan culture we don't understand. Apparently, the woman asks, or the female asks the male, and then they get on and do the Vulcan horizontal mambo, and they're not in Pon Farr.
Well, they're about to do the mambo.
Oh, they're about to. But it's not Pon Farr, so I mean, but I guess we've never really dealt with it outside of that situation.
Pike calls and totally cocksblocked the poor guy.
No,
he
felt bad about it. He felt bad.
Yeah, he's like, I need you to come back. We're gonna find number one. He goes, yes, Captain. I'm sure that's suitable. I'm sure she'll be fine. T'Pring's like, I'm sorry, what?
But maybe Spock was the one in a hurry to get out of there, so I don't know.
Yeah, right? Jeez. You know what I'd be like? Hey, Captain, I need like 8 minutes, dude.
I need 3 minutes and 36 seconds. I've got this timed down.
I will call you back in 4 minutes. Okay?
Like literally, could it have waited 15 minutes or so or whatever?
4 minutes, Captain.
Give him an hour or whatever.
You have a teleporter, okay? Let me know when you're leaving. I'll be here till then.
I'll call you right back.
Yeah. But no, this whole interaction was fine.
Well, I really like that, she says something here that I think is important. She says, I won't chase you across the galaxy to get married, which totally lines up with what happened during TOS when Spock comes back, right? And he's in Pon Farr, and she actually wants to marry somebody else.
Mm.
So she's trying to get him to basically, Kirk comes in, the whole thing. So she eventually, she basically says that, which lines up with TOS nicely.
Archmage said, were they going to have sex or some really aggressive mind melding?
Either way, count us in.
Yeah. Either way.
Either way.
I love the new tech. I love so there's one thing. I was really concerned with how all the technology was going to look.
Yes.
Because I'm like, look, we tried this already. Like
Right.
we made Discovery, and everything looked like it was post Voyager, right?
Right. Yep. You're
And
right.
it didn't work. And like, how are they going to not only acknowledge the fact that they were in the Discovery crisis, which is what they called it,
Which they do.
and they do, and then utilize the correct trick. So I knew, I'm like, all right, man, they're going to be utilizing like the tech that we saw on Discovery, which is going to definitely, no matter how good the show is, that's going to take me out of it because it doesn't fit, right? It doesn't fit with the time. They don't do it. Like they're using tricorders and
They use the original tricorders. I love that. The big bulky ones.
No, it's not. They do look a little bit more like modern in the sense where it's like someone
Very
made them
similar.
like someone made them better. Like someone made better versions.
Yeah.
You know, but they took the original and they made a more artistic, better version of that original.
Yes.
It's not a completely different thing. And it's great, and it has screens. And we never saw the screens and all that on TOS because obviously they couldn't do that.
Because you couldn't. Yeah.
But we can see it now, and the new way they do that actually makes it make more sense.
Right. It really adds to the lore of Star Trek.
Yes,
Much better.
does. It does. It looks really good, really good. Even the big bulky tricorder with the little mini screens.
Yeah,
It's almost like
it.
the reason it's so bulky is because there's so many sensors, and there's
Right.
all those little individual sensors are individual. And later on, the tricorder is smaller because the sensors are a lot smaller, which makes sense.
When you get to totally. When you get to TNG, it fits in a hand. Did you notice that the shuttle was named Stamets?
I did. Why?
Technically he's dead.
Okay, so it's like an homage.
So maybe it's a posthumous naming.
Posthumous.
Because that's the first thing I thought. I'm like, well, I guess technically he's dead, so maybe they would name it posthumously.
Okay, they
they
want
wanted
an
to make
homage to this guy. I guess Stamets was a big deal, right?
I guess he was, although his tech supposedly never existed. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. The Enterprise looks great.
It does. It looks really nice.
It looks so good, guys.
Love it. Love the graphics.
Guys, and this is the problem I think I had with that Archer ship. Is the nacelle. There was one nacelle just sticking out of the saucer section instead of the saucer section into an engine with the nacelles sticking out of the engine. It was like they missed a component in the Archer. That's what was bothering me. But with this, it looks great. I love how there is clearly this is the Enterprise from the 60s. They took it and they made a better version of it. It's not a different ship, guys. It still has like the red, like, the reason why the original Enterprise had those red glowing things at the end of the cells was because for the time, that little LED was a futuristic thing for the model. Now it would look out of place. They somehow got this on there without making it look out of place, actually make it look like it's part of the ship. It's just everything is way more, even the array in the front, which before looked like a 60s model. It looks like it serves a purpose. Like this is the best updated version of Enterprise I have ever seen.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Absolutely.
It's an absolute homage to the original in every detail. It's just so much more detailed and so much more lifelike and so much more realistic. This is the best. And I've seen so many versions. This is the best I've seen.
It really did a good job.
Yeah. The lights in the front, even just gorgeous, man. The guys from the shipyards, whatever their names are.
Trek yards.
Yeah, Trek yards. I'm pretty sure they saw this and just passed out from all the blood rushing to the nether regions.
Yeah, no, for real. Oh, so in this moment here, Spock actually tells Pike. He says that Lieutenant Kirk will have to be billeted after the mission.
Yes. So right here, can I be honest with you, Shane?
Go ahead.
I was worried. Were you worried?
Well, yeah. Well, no, I wasn't worried because we know what really happens.
Well, we know that he comes in at season 2.
Right.
But in my mind, I was like, oh, what if that was all misdirection like we've seen in the past?
No. Well,
What
that
if
would
this
have been
is
really weird.
like maybe they misdirected us in order to surprise us?
Well, they based on where Kirk is in current timeline, it wouldn't have worked.
I know.
He's not a lieutenant right now.
Which is why I was worried, Shane.
Right. But no, you know what they were doing here? They were trolling us, bro.
They were trolling us hard.
They were trolling us. They were getting everybody going, what? They did that shit. They did that on purpose.
Right.
They did that on purpose. They trolled us because later on, we won't talk about it yet. Later on, they're going to show us what Kirk it is.
Right. Which, by the way, it totally fits. And we'll see it. We'll see it. It totally fits. What they actually did, I had to go look it up. I was like, oh, this actually fit. This works. And
right.
It works
Work.
perfectly.
Yeah. Right.
So it was great. You're right. I was like, oh, they better not bring Picard into this in the first episode. This is not going to be good. No matter how good everything else is, just like if he shows up on the bridge at the end of the show, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. It's going to be
a huge problem. Yeah.
Everyone complains about. Right.
I mean, I was ready to complain about it.
Oh, the bridge looks so good. It looks so good. I know we've seen it before, but now seeing it like and not 2 seconds of a trailer, but like the whole thing, it's beautiful. Yeah. It's beautiful. The sweeping lines. This is a sexy bridge. Let me tell you why. So TNG had the whole like office building look. Like it looked like an office building.
Right.
TOS looked like a warship, almost like a submarine like ship, right?
Uh-huh.
Discovery had so much bling and zero substance. Now, and the original Enterprise looked like the NX-01 from Star Trek Enterprise looked definitely like it could be a version of the Enterprise bridge before TOS. Now they took that TOS bridge, and obviously it needs to be updated. Can't we use the original set, right? I get it.
Right.
But they added all those big, beautiful screens and buttons and all the stuff that you see. Right? It's here, and it's visual, and they even multiplied it. They took that and they made it even better. This is not a departure. This is a truly an elevation, an elevation of the original bridge. Even with the LEDs around the guardrails, it works. It works, and it doesn't feel like they just made another bridge. It feels like if the original bridge was updated. That's what it feels like. I love it. 100%. It was really great. At what point are we going to see the red door in the back, though? Because I want to see that red door.
I'm assuming it should be there. They're leaving no stone unturned here. So
because that was in season 3 is when we got the red door of TOS, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was season 2 or 3. Anyways, looks great, beautiful. All right, we get to meet his current acting number 1 is La'an, right?
Yeah, that was boy. Start out the fisticuffs or the punches right at that moment, right? Spock was not happy this happened. Right. And we get a nice little thing where he's like, oh, he was kind of confused and, oh, okay. And then Spock looks over. You get a second here where it happens. But yeah, so this lieutenant is number 1.
Uhura looks great. Fantastic.
Yep. Love the earpiece. It's perfect.
Perfect. And the actress is perfect. I'm simping hard for Uhura right now. I saw some people on Reddit complaining about the fact that they have metal badges. Look, guys, it's 2022. We're not going to do cloth badges. So I understand that could be something you complain about if you really want to complain about something that small. It's not just small, literally, but also like an obvious thing they're not going to do. They're not going to have cloth badges. There's no way it's going to happen. We did see a return to some of the skirts, which we'll get to that. Oh, look at that. I love the earpiece, man. It's great. It's an updated fantastic version. Actress looks great. She was doing good. We haven't seen much of her yet, but she was doing good so far. Everything's great. Blah, 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 blah. All right, the engine room. I want to talk about this real quick. Again, I don't know who's making these set pieces, but it looks like somebody carefully updated. Not they didn't just recreate. They looked at the original and said, okay, we're going to make a better version of this. We're not going to leave where this is at. We're not going to leave the general area that this, the look and feel of this. We're just going to make a better version of this. And they did. This is a good, really good version of the engine room. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It has all the colors with the grates. It looks like TOS, man. It's great.
Yeah, no, somebody cared about this.
Somebody really cared about this.
Yeah.
I want to know who created, did the graphics for this new ship. It's somebody. Just very good. Very good. Very good. Okay. Yeah.
There's a nice little joke here that Pike says to Spock. He says, "I'm all ears."
Yeah.
And it was subtle. He's like, and it worked. I liked it. Spock was it was a moment blip on his, gave him a funny look, but it worked.
Yeah. I do like the fact too that Pike is using all these human euphemisms. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
These, euphemisms and little quotes or whatever, and he's having to constantly explain what they are because he's dealing with a crew that's not from that place. I thought
and younger,
cool. Or younger, yeah. He also quotes it. He quotes what's that book, Moby Dick, in this, which was cool, and he has to explain himself. All right, so. Yeah, all is good. The communication.
Spock, I mentioned that he's seeing, he's having visions of his future disfigured self.
Right.
And that's what his struggle and strife is it's kind of interrupting his command a little bit. And where he should be telling them to do things, he's caught up in this memory.
Right. Now, to be fair, Ethan Peck and Anson Mount clearly have chemistry.
They do. They work well together.
They work well together. Even if
we've been pretty critical of Spock. Can we just say this for a moment?
Yeah, we have
been pretty darn critical of Spock, but honestly, he was good here. I didn't feel weird about him like I did during Discovery season 2.
I felt so weird during Discovery. It definitely feels better here.
I wonder if it's because Michael's gone. I wonder how much of it was Michael just being frustrated with the fact that she's his sister and forcing that on us. And then Ethan Peck unable to kind of just be Spock. He's got to be like Michael's in Discovery season 2. He couldn't be Spock. He had to be Michael's brother.
Yeah. Michael's brother.
Yeah. Now he's just Spock.
Yeah. Yeah. So you take Michael out of the equation and now we're, you know what? That's a good point because I was like, even if I love Strange New Worlds, I'm going to dislike Spock because of what I saw in Discovery.
Right.
But I got to remember, if you asked me in Picard season 1 and what I thought about Alison Pillsbury character, I would have been like, she's the worst ever. Right. And then I saw season 2 and my mind completely changed on that character. So the setting and the writing and what they're doing can totally change your opinion on that character. And maybe just enjoy Strange New Worlds as a standalone, and hopefully it don't mention Discovery too often. Maybe we're just this first episode,
I'm hoping this is it.
All right. So regardless, everything's looking good. Bridge is great. Now they're gonna go and they're gonna find number 1. Now this is when you see the ship now. It's basically just a saucer section with a single nacelle. It's very weird looking. It's very weird. Anyways, the Archer is there's nobody on board. There's no one dead. There's no life signs, nothing. So they have to surmise that they're on the surface somewhere. And they got to go to the surface. Now, in order not to break, at this time, it's not called the Prime Directive. It's called General Order 1, which I thought was a great transition, by the way.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
He even said, that'll never catch on. We know.
Later on he did say that. Yeah.
That's what it's called.
Yeah, I thought that was a great joke. And this is a situation here where La'an, we don't really understand this character yet, but she has this moment of, we need to put up our shields. Right. And Spock's arguing with her. Right. And that it's not protocol. And she says, we got to do it. And Pike does it. And of course, they shot plasma torpedoes at him, which I find it interesting that, 21st century tech can damage our vessels now at this time, which is what they said. It's 21st century tech. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah. Seemed pretty powerful for 21st century tech.
Yeah, to be honest too, I also don't like their explanation of how they got the warp drive.
I kind of did.
Like they got it from reverse engineering what they saw.
No, no, well, no. So, number one, it's not a warp drive. They created a warp bomb.
Right. We get to that point, but
Yeah.
how do they even get the warp technology in the first place?
So apparently, whatever they saw that happened, whatever they were doing to send Discovery into the future, they were watching them do it, and apparently were able to glean something from that. They did not explain it really thoroughly, which I'm not sure it was important to do because we don't need to know this society and every detail of how they do what they do. But I mean, they did such a good job with the show that I just trusted what they told me. That has a lot to do with Star Trek too. Sometimes if you're doing a good job telling a story and everything seems correct and feels good, I'm going to trust you in moments where you're asking me to just believe what you're telling me occasionally. And I think that was one of those moments where it would have taken away from the show to explain how they made a warp bomb. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah, it would have made more sense though had a ship from that same encounter maybe crash there.
Perhaps, but then they would have just made a ship.
No, maybe they can't make a ship, but they can make a bomb. It's easier to make a bomb than make a. It's easier to make a bomb than a controlled explosion that creates an engine, right?
Right.
We got a super chat from Insane Hippie Insane. He said,
I love that name.
Making Burnham Spock's sister was the dumbest thing they did. Yeah, I agree with you.
Amen, Insane Hippie. Amen. I totally, to this day, I'll still feel the same way. I hate that. Thank you for the $5.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so I actually like the idea of the warp bomb. Had they found a ship, they can't make an actual ship work, but they can, it's easy to make something blow up, an explosion, than to make an engine that controls the explosion, because that's what an engine is, right? It's a controlled explosion. That would make more sense. That would have made sense to me. But that's fine. You're right. I'm liking it enough to where I can totally look past that.
Yeah.
So she says throw shields up. He disagrees. They throw them up anyways. And some plasma torpedoes. Now, they weren't that powerful considering that they didn't even flinch. Pike is on the bridge just looking at them hit the shields.
Well, I mean, he is, but what I'm saying is maybe the graphics were just really good.
Yeah.
Because it came in, it looked like
they weren't shields, they were deflectors too, right?
Deflectors, right. And and they didn't really describe, that's the other thing about the Archer. How many people were on the Archer? Didn't they say there was nobody on board the Archer?
He said, well, yeah, they said there's no one on board the Archer, but apparently there's supposed to be 3 people.
So there's only 3 people on the ship?
That's a tiny ship, huh? Why is such a large saucer section then? Why not just a shuttle?
It's not a shuttle.
No, it's a smaller ship though.
Yeah.
The design of the Archer
seems like a small crew.
Yeah, the design of the Archer is weird to me. I feel like you didn't need it, but it's fine. Whatever.
There's a nice joke here.
What's that?
Where they talk about the 2 warring factions, and Spock mentions that Vulcans created First Contact, and then Pike says, "Oh, you're going to remind us of that again."
That's cool,
right? So it's kind of nice. Nice throwback to Enterprise almost.
Yeah, and they did say there was also a comment here from Pike about how Vulcans hold back humans or whatever. Very interesting. Yeah, so now when they scan the planet, they discover the warp. That's when they figure out that it's probably not a warp signature, but a warp bomb, right?
Right.
There was also an explanation here about how, for everyone else, the warp engine comes first, but who's to say you can't get this
is the first time, yeah.
They also, there was a mention to the atomic bomb. They're like, why couldn't you have the atomic bomb before you had a particle? I don't know.
Yeah.
It lost me.
I mean, it was very tech oriented. It was nice that we were just at least having these discussions.
Right. That's true. Now, Mbenga is awesome.
Oh, Mbenga, yeah.
And so
there's
Chapel.
a moment there. There's a moment there where when he sees La'an, he wipes his finger under his eye, and then she does the same back to him.
Oh, really?
And it's like a greeting, I guess. But I've never seen that before, and I wasn't able to find anything on it. So it'll be curious to see if that actually gets mentioned later. Like it's some sort of a, I don't know. Like they're both human, so
Interesting.
maybe it must be a cultural thing or something.
I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't pick that up. Okay, so I like how they explain the science here, and they sort of this is a cool way to introduce something that we've always that doesn't break canon. Just sort of explains how it works, like the whole how do they make the different disguises. That's a cool idea.
Now this is how you write for Star Trek. Okay, this is a great example of everything we've talked about. How you write for Star Trek. You say, okay, I'm going to take something from Star Trek that is important in every episode of every series that we've ever had. They're always disguising to go among aliens. Mm-hmm. They take one element of something that's important to Star Trek and they show us how it works. Right. That's good writing.
Right.
And they make it better. They actually make the canon, better for us instead of, just drive on by and don't say anything.
Right.
I thought this was a great moment. And of course, Nurse Chapel, I really like the Nurse Chapel character. Here's interesting. She's on a civilian exchange from the Stanford Morehouse epigenetic project. So she's a civilian, which is something we didn't know.
Is that why she's in white?
I don't know. Is Mbenga in white? No, he's in blue.
He's in blue.
Must be, because it says here that she's on a civilian exchange. So that must mean she's a civilian. And she says she's going to mess with their genome, which I thought was great. And she looked at Spock and said, and you're first. And they've got that future relationship that or one-sided relationship anyways.
Yeah, and apparently because of his human and Vulcan side, like the changes aren't going to last as long on him that it lasts on them. Right.
Which was okay. It was a good explanation. It created some some suspense when they actually get down to the planet, which is something we need. This is also something in Trek that you should do that's good, is use something that's realistic. If you want a plot device to make something happen. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're watching Picard or Discovery, they would have done something obvious. And they, in this case, they actually used something that was plausible to move the story along, as opposed to something that didn't mean anything.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And then she didn't want the sedative because I guess
I have a theory on that. My theory is, as we learn about her character later on, I believe that she doesn't want the sedative because, likely she was a lone survivor, right?
Right. Of the Gorn.
Right.
Cool. So, cool idea, by the way.
Cool idea. I cannot wait till we get to the Gorn episode that's going to be coming up here in a few episods.
What are the graphics going to look like?
Oh, I can't wait to see. I cannot wait.
Everything looks so good. Like, you cannot mess up. Like, I can't see how you're going to make the Gorn look right. But then also, I didn't expect this level of detail on the ship and everything they've done. So,
right.
Gorn look.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty impressive. I wonder if Lon wants to feel the pain, like maybe as a penance, or to be reminded that she can die so that she can never be caught off guard and killed. Because it's something that they go into is like, and it actually helps. It actually helps later on for Pike when she says, if you don't realize you can die, then that's when you get killed.
Ah.
And so I wonder if she wants to feel pain to be reminded that she can die. Maybe.
So, so this CRISPR tech, basically, that's what it is. It's temporarily rewrites their genome and gives them those secondary features, which is cool.
Which was cool. It worked out really well.
Yep. Yeah, and the makeup looks great. It looks so good.
The makeup's so good. I love right here when Mr. Kyle's like beaming him down,
and he winks at him.
He's like, "Don't lose my socks, Mr. Kyle."
Yeah, very cool.
I love all his cool lines, man. He's just so cool.
Yeah,
Pike's cool.
Pike is great. All right, and then we get to Pike is really fantastic.
He really is so good, dude. He's
so good.
Anson Mount. He's like, he was made for this role.
Yeah. So this is interesting. Yeah. This is like riots. This is like what the United States is going through in 2019 and 2020, right? Like for like 8 months.
2021, yeah.
What?
2020 and 2021.
Oh, wasn't it happening in 2019? When
happened
was that?
after it happened after Corona. Because remember, there was all this discussion about masks, not wearing masks, and people being upset.
When were like the Antifa riots in like?
Oh, those probably started. Those started a while.
Because that was like because the riots and all that, those weren't from masks. So the riot that they showed here, that there was the January 6th thing, but the majority of these riots, like if they're trying to draw a comparison, it wasn't just January 6th. There was like months and months of riots. Like it reminded me of that. It reminded me of that sort of vibe.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like when they were burning down police stations in Portland, Oregon, and stuff like that.
I think that was the point.
Right. Make it looks great. Spock is like, why don't I have pants on? Because he's wearing shorts.
Oh, and Pike also says, he made a joke here. He's like, why is it always in an alley?
Right. Because it always is an alley.
Such great, because they always get beamed into an alley. Well,
right.
So you can't be seen, buddy. Come on, you know that.
Yeah, they use the Vulcan nerve punch and they send those people. She's really sort of calling shots right here as the security. She's like, let's do this, do that. And he's like, yeah, sure, why not?
Well, it's funny because I wrote something in my notes. I'm like, and by the way, I do like this character.
Right.
But at this point, I'm like, man, this Lon is like a bitch, right? I'm like, she's really like, something's going on here with her. You end up really liking her a lot, but up to this point, she's kind of a little bit annoying.
Yeah, she has some like real intense baggage.
Yeah, and we learn what that is, and then you're like, okay, I totally get it. That makes sense.
Yeah,
I would probably be the same way, and we learn about that. But you got to admit, she does do some pretty cool stuff here. And Spock, what I love about this is that, Spock's always got it together. In everything we've ever seen with Star Trek, but in this thing, he's like one step behind her the whole way so far. Mm-hmm. Even in this point where he's got to she's like, oh, my neck, or can you, check his neck or something like that. And Spock's like, oh, Vulcan prick, these goes over. He's like one step behind her mentally.
Yeah, he did ask the question, how did we even know that was going to work on him? And she's like, well, it did, didn't it?
Yeah, so it's funny. And that shows their line of thinking. Like she's willing to take a risk just in case, and he's not. Very Vulcan thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, her baggage is so intense that maybe she shouldn't be serving on board a ship. It's a really intense baggage.
It's really disturbing. It's disturbing,
which that's why I cannot wait to get to the Gorn episode. Oh, it's gonna be great. Anyways, blah blah blah. Okay, so they send those guys to the ship, and one of them wakes up and like runs out.
Oh, that was so great.
And he's like, "Go get our chicken or whatever he called it, a rabbit."
Well, no, what's funny? They called it. Actually, this is very cool because when he went to go run, they said they have a Delta Scorpy 7 situation, which probably alludes to like another mission they were on.
Oh, I see.
So, which hopefully we'll learn in the future. But this is the moment. This moment right here, with this guy running around with his chicken with his head cut off, and you've got all these characters reacting very calmly, like it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
And this is the moment during the show where I said, okay, this is something that Star Trek just doesn't do. And this is the first time they're doing it. This crew is so confident in what they're doing. They're so positive about what's going on. They don't freak out. They don't panic. They just, take care of it. They're cool cucumbers. If this was Discovery, this wouldn't be happening on Discovery.
No, this is the first time we've seen this since Enterprise, honestly. So for like 22 years now, we haven't seen competent people. We've seen like a bunch of emotional people working out their own problems, while and their secondary stories are being Starfleet personnel. And now we're seeing Starfleet personnel, and the secondary stories are their personal problems. And it's great.
Yeah, the secondary story is not the primary. And it's like, just loving Nurse Chapel here, man. She's running after this guy, and nobody's panicking. They've got the new character on the bridge, and she's got the con, and she makes this great comment. She's like, it's always when I have the chair, when I'm in the chair, you know, and I thought that was great. It was light, you know?
Right. No, it really worked. And you're right. Yeah, we're seeing Starfleet members and their job, you know, and the story is them being Starfleet. And their
Right.
secondary stories are their personal lives. When in Discovery and a lot in Picard, and what we really see with those is not. We see their personal lives as their story, and their secondary story is them being in Starfleet.
100%.
Like that's the setting. The setting for their story is they're in Starfleet, but here's the story: my issues, my problems, whatever.
Right.
And a galactic ending event.
To get us back to Star Trek, we need a galactic ending event.
Right. Yeah. All right. And yeah. Remember, I mean, even the ship had a personal problem.
That's great. Look at her just trucking after.
Yeah.
And then the way Uhura, like people get mad at me because I say Uhura. Uhura.
Oh,
Uhura.
someone asked me, they're like, what? They're like, why do you keep saying Uhura like you're South African or something? I forgot what it was. I was like, because he is South African.
Well, I say Uhura because I speak Spanish to some degree.
All right.
And I want to roll my R's with her. I have no idea why. But it is Uhura.
It's a
God,
hard
that's a hard
name
word
to
to
say.
It is a tough
It's a
one.
hard name to say.
When you say it as much as we got to say it in a video, it gets tough.
Uhura. Yeah, they get bad security, blah blah. I'm trying to. I don't want to go through all the little tiny little things, but this is great here. Uhura is talking to this guy like it's like just having a normal conversation with him. Like this is like the guy that ran away.
Oh yeah, no, I think that was great. She got him. She got him to calm down.
Right.
And this was what was cool. She shows up, and it's such a great scene. They get into the elevator, to the lift, right? And she's standing there, and she's like looking over at him. She just gives him the side look over there, and he looks at her, and it goes away. And then she mentions like whatever sport they have on their planet, and he's like, "You know what that is?" And all of a sudden, he's disarmed.
Right.
And she's charming, you know. And then he steps out of the elevator, and Chapel gets him. And there's such good teamwork, you know. It's
Right.
like they know how to work together. Come on. You know, we haven't got this in Trek yet. No wonder they kept telling us, you guys are going to like this. This is a you know, back to old Trek. You know, they told us. They're right so far.
You know what really bothered me about that is about what you just said was I don't feel like this is very hard. I feel like it's
Right.
harder to try to change what Star Trek is.
That's a good point. Yeah, just making Star Trek better and bringing it into the future should be easier than making something completely different. Which is what they did with Discovery.
Right. They made something completely different with a Star Trek name and wrapped in Star Trek, you know,
Lore.
underwear, but
Yeah.
not Star Trek. All right.
Right.
All right. Yeah. So everything's going good. Now they're back on the surface. And then,
Yeah.
what? Go ahead.
No, this is a great scene because, well, it's very interesting because they're having this problem. They can't get in because Spock's eye thing isn't going to work when he gets, you know, when they actually go in and they need to get through security. Spock doesn't have enough juice.
Right.
So they're trying to figure out, they're going to send this down to him. And I love this moment because Mbenga says, I want you to pinpoint the location and beam down the eye salve. And Chief Kyle's like, that's not how transporters work. Right. And then I think it's Ortegas that says, I can't remember who it was, but I think it was Ortegas that says, we'll figure it out and make it happen. Or maybe it was Nurse Chapel that said, we'll figure it out and make it happen. Right.
Right.
And somehow they're able to do it. I've never seen that in Star Trek before. They
That's true.
beamed the salve into his eye.
I haven't seen that either. That seems super dangerous.
It seems a little bit over the top, but like I said, once again, I'm loving it. I like what they're doing.
Right.
And so therefore I trust you.
Right.
So, you know, and it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah. Good Star Trek characters and good Star Trek writing and using like the normal principles of Star Trek, it goes a long way. People go, oh, well, there were bad episodes of Voyager, yet you like Voyager. Yes. There was bad episodes of DS9, like DS9. Yes. There were bad episodes of TNG and TOS. You're like, yes. But the show as a whole, I liked. So when the bad stuff came up, I can be like, yeah, that wasn't great. Or that didn't make a lot of sense. But I'm having so much fun with this in general that I can overlook a lot of the weird stuff. Like, dude, I'm going to say it again. I love Voyager. It's one of my favorite series. The Kazon are the worst aliens to ever exist in Star Trek.
I hate the Kazon. I hate when Janeway and they make the babies, those lizard babies, and turn whatever.
Yes, the lizard babies. Yes, when they evolve or evolve, but then they because time is secular, they devolve or whatever.
There's bad episodes, but it's good Trek overall.
Right, and the Kazon were the worst. I remember watching the Kazon being like, oh god, these are the worst. How are they? They have 13 IQ and yet they're driving starships. They can't figure out how to get water, but yeah, they can make a starship. It makes no sense. But I loved it. Voyager as a whole was so good that the bad episodes and the bad plots and the weird and some of the bad aliens, I can overlook that. But when Star Trek is not Star Trek, and you're already going into that with oh, this is not really good Star Trek at all, then all the little stuff is so glaring that you can't just accept anything. There's no acceptance. You got to just nitpick everything now.
You end up getting nitpicked down. Yeah. What did you think of the emergency medical transporter? That's something that I do not recall, and it would have been tough for them to do back in TOS. I mean, but it makes sense to have one in your sick bay for emergencies, right?
Yeah.
So they had one. That's how they got it down.
I didn't think about it at all because I think that I assume that would be a normal part of I feel like that's pretty if I was making a ship in that time with that technology, I'd be like, yeah, we should probably throw a little mini transporter in sickbay.
Right.
I know they didn't have that in TOS, or they never said they did, but
there's
if I was designing a spaceship in that time with that technology, yeah, that would definitely be part of sickbay.
And that's what I love. It makes sense, right? That makes sense. We didn't see it. We didn't have one in TOS, right. And in every other iteration of Star Trek, they've just beamed people wherever they wanted to. But at this time, I don't know, you want to have the ability to beam things because you're in a med bay. It just makes so much sense. It was so clever. I like that.
And you know what? The more importantly, there was never a point in TOS where they were like, we don't have a transporter here.
Right.
So it's not a contradiction. It's just let me just add to the lore because it makes sense that this would be the case. That there would be a transporter in this very, very important part of the ship. It makes sense. So I can get behind that.
Yeah.
In fact, I like it. It's not just I can accept it. I think it's good.
It made it better.
Idea. Right. It makes it better. Right. Now they find Una. I hate the fact her name is Una, by the way. I'm never gonna let that go.
It's terrible.
That's a terror.
It's absolutely terrible.
That was a terrible.
They made her name Una.
Should have given her any name but the word for one in Spanish, please.
It's like one of the writers from Picard said, "Hey, I got some advice for you guys. Don't listen to the Picard writers, guys.
Yeah,
don't do it.
Just because her title is number one doesn't mean her name has to be Una.
It doesn't have to mean the word one in Spanish.
I got $10. Says the person that came up with that is the same person that came up with 10 Forward being the name of the bar for a Guinan.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, so let me play devil's advocate. Okay, let's say she was called number one in the pilot episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they said, well, what if her name really is number one and it was just a clever nickname from the captain?
Nicknames are usually shorter versions of the name.
That's a good point.
Not right. 14 more syllables.
I'm done defending it. Sorry.
Yeah, nice try though, man.
That was my best try.
Yeah. Plus in TNG, Picard, because in the Navy, number one is a thing.
There was no number one's a thing. Yeah. Well, there was no number one. My first officer, did he call him number one?
Yes, my first sergeant, our lieutenant would call our first sergeant number one all the time.
In the Navy, we didn't do that.
Oh, okay. Well, in the Army, maybe it's a nickname because he was first sergeant. He would say, "Hey, one, come here, one."
Well, it was Picard who started the number one stuff.
Oh, so maybe my lieutenant was saying that.
Well, it wasn't Picard. Sorry, it was Jeffrey. It was the Cage. It was the original Pike started the number one, but Picard also called Riker number one. But I know that Spock was Kirk's first officer, but I don't remember him referring to him as number one ever. So it's been a while since I watched.
When I was in the military, I remember my lieutenant calling my first sergeant one.
Well, first sergeant, I mean, that kind of makes sense, but that's, your first sergeant also isn't second in command of the ship. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So the XO is usually executive officers, the next in charge. I don't know. Keep rocking it.
Still good. That's like
not a big deal. Una's kind of a weird name.
Still, it was a bad decision, regardless.
What's weird is Una. Go ahead.
I can look past it though because the show so far has been so great.
The show's so good so far. We're not going to complain about it.
Yeah, whatever.
So Una and La'an know each other,
right?
And she called Una chief,
right? Because she was chief on the ship she was on before Enterprise, right?
I mean, I'm guessing now she was an ensign on board the King Jr. Now, this is very interesting. The King Jr. is the ship that we'll learn rescues La'an. Is it Martin Luther King Jr.? Is that why it's the King Jr.?
I don't know. Why would you call it King Jr., not Martin Luther? Not the Martin Luther.
I'm not sure. I'm just not sure what every ship has a name for a reason. King Jr. is the first time I've ever heard of it. I'm assuming it's Martin Luther King Jr.
Why is the Enterprise called the Enterprise?
Well, enterprises have been around since, for centuries.
Oh, really?
So yeah, the Enterprise is,
was there actually like an old, England ship?
HMS Enterprise. Yes, sir.
Oh, it was real?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I thought that was a holodeck thing. I didn't know that.
No, dude, that's for real.
Oh, that's rad as hell.
That is rad.
Yeah. And I know that there's an Excelsior and a Reagan. Is there a Reagan?
There is a Reagan. Yeah. I was on the Reagan.
Interesting.
I served aboard the USS Ronald Reagan.
Now, Stargazer, that's a new thing.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to come up with names mostly names of ships are named after either presidents or they're named after battles or they're named after people who've died. So that's pretty typical for the Navy.
Okay. Yeah. So this part is when, this is good. So his prosthetics are wearing off, and he gets he covers his face. I can't play too much of it, but he basically gets super angry.
Oh yeah, he's in pain, dude. That was pretty wild because Spock is able to withstand pain. So that was very interesting.
Right, and they beat up all those people and get.
Because he said, "Oh, hold on." He said it was too painful, Captain, and he screamed.
Right.
La'an didn't scream.
Oh, good point.
Spock's supposed to be able to tolerate pain. So this just shows a Spock that has not matured.
Right.
Maybe it's one more sign towards, he's not the Spock we know yet.
He's not that Spock yet. Yeah. So I love this moment. I told you about this. When he's like, we're going to beam you out. Me and Spock are going to stay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but sir, what about General Order 1? I don't care about that. Go to the ship.
He literally said, screw General Order 1.
Right. And he's like, he just took charge and they didn't doubt him. There was no changing of the plans. There was no backstabbing him and doing what they thought was better.
Yeah, there was no first officer changing his mind. Right.
Nothing like that. It was, this is an order, go, and it was done. If this was Discovery, this wouldn't have happened.
It would have been a discussion. It would have been, but, blah, blah, blah. Their feelings might get hurt and,
Pause the elevator. Let's have a nice little round table about it. And, you still want to do it? We're going to do something different, which is going to work out and show that you actually had the wrong idea because God.
You totally just nailed it right there. That is exactly what it is.
And I'm so glad that the second the captain said, get out of here, it just happened.
They just did it.
All right. Great. And it could have been the wrong decision, but it was his decision to make. That's the important part.
Yes. And he's not the only captain to disobey that order. Kirk does it all the time. It's part of kind of the whole cowboy, Federation Starfleet thing at the beginning. So,
and it's interesting too, because you can tell Spock didn't fully agree with him, but
right.
He was like, I don't know about this, man, but I'm here. You know, pretty
You're
much.
the boss.
You're the boss. Yeah, and they level when the elevator opens. I'm gonna get to that point.
And that's appropriate for Spock. You know, the Spock that we know and love would say,
This might not end well.
Captain, that's not what we're supposed to do. General Order number 1 says, you know, so it was a natural thing.
Again, though, he didn't push back. He just expressed his thoughts respectively and then continued on with his orders.
Well, he's also not number 1.
Right.
He's not the XO.
Right.
So it's not his job to question the captain yet.
Right.
That's Una's job.
Yeah, and then all these people, you know, pointing weapons at him. Good. And they're all... Then, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say they figure out at this point that, or Una's the one who tells them that the action at Discovery to send into the future is what gave them warp capability. And I thought that was a nice moment. Actually, I was okay with that connection with Discovery, because the show is a spinoff of Discovery technically.
Right.
And so I was okay with that. But let's make that the last time it's mentioned.
Yeah, let's never mention Discovery again.
We don't need it mentioned. It's bad enough that Admiral April had to get special consideration so that he could learn what happened at that event, because remember, nobody's supposed to know.
Right. So that means that past this episode, we shouldn't talk about Discovery. We shouldn't talk about Michael Burnham or Spock's ex-sister, because if it's such a secret, I don't think Spock should be, you know, constantly referencing his sister to everyone around him.
We should never hear it again, because once we get to TOS, we never hear from her.
This should be the last conversation about Discovery, unless there's another story at some point that somehow directly correlates to that specific point in time.
Right.
All right. Yeah, so they're in front of the prefect. I think it's a prefect. I don't know. I assume that's like the name of a general.
Yeah.
I'm going to say prefect. I don't know.
Person in charge. Yeah.
Right. And they're explaining that they're aliens, basically. And they're like, hey, listen, you know, you got to chill out with that bomb. You're going to destroy everything. And they're like, well, our job is to sort of our plan is to kill them. That's like,
yeah. It's like, no, that's what we are going to do. And she was very calm about it. Yes.
That's why we made the bomb. It's a bomb.
That's why we made it.
Yeah.
To kill them.
And so they're going to take him away. And I love this moment when he's like emergency communicator or whatever. Because by the way, it makes total sense that you should be able to voice command your communicator if you need to.
It does. Yes.
I know we've never seen that, but it makes complete sense.
Yeah. I
mean, I can voice command my phone right now, and this is 2022, you know?
I mean, I might have reacted differently if I was the security escorting him out than to let him just do that. But I love that she says, you know, it's the person with the big stick that wins.
Right.
And he says, and so he calls the Enterprise and he goes, well, guess who has the biggest stick here?
Right.
And I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, he does. Yeah. He could just start firing on him he wouldn't do that, but you know, just totally took her with her own argument.
Yeah. That was super like,
and then it forced the factions to actually meet, because now they've got this. Now everybody's aware that there's aliens here.
That just reminded me of like a Patton thing when someone accused him of not having the balls to do something, and he took his penis out and put it on the table. It's like, sorry, what was that?
Yeah,
just had the same effect where it's like, let me just show you how this works.
Right.
Not that I'm going to do anything about it, but let me show you our power.
Right.
Yeah, now they have to acknowledge the giant. So before, when they saw the other ship, they were keeping it secret, right?
Yeah, it was still in orbit, so not everybody could see it.
Yeah, so now they're seeing the Enterprise literally like in the sky.
Right.
Which is cool. I do love the fact that like I feel like they put the Star Trek emblem on just everything in this show.
Why not, right?
Like for real, the hypo sprays had a little Star Trek emblem. Like everything in the show has a little Star Trek emblem, and it's sort of cool.
Give me more Star Trek.
Even if it's not necessary, I get it. I don't care.
I don't care. Brand it. Brand it.
Brand it all. Because now they're gonna be able to sell like the Star Trek hypo sprays.
Okay, yeah.
Think about that. They're gonna sell those toys again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
nice conversation here.
Yeah, there was. I can't play it, so want to go into it?
No, but we can explain it. So she tells her story here.
Right. The Gorn.
So
Super
she tells her,
intense.
it's so crazy. She kind of explained, this actually gives Pike an ability to heal. She explains that her family was basically taken by the Gorn and they deposited him on one of their nursery planets. And she was the only one who survived. Dude, the Gorn used her family members as breeding sacks, which means they basically killed them and then laid their eggs inside of them.
So metal.
That is so hardcore.
That is so metal. That's like the most metal thing I've ever seen in Star Trek. The only thing as metal as that is the Borg.
Yeah.
That is so gangster. Wow.
I mean, the Gorn terrified me when I was a kid. Okay. So that episode where in Arena, where the Gorn and Kirk are fighting,
right?
I'm just like, oh my God, please let Kirk get away. Like the Gorn almost gets him a few times. And I was like really stressing out for Kirk, right? I was a kid.
Right. But did you know that the Gorn were spacefaring species though?
Yes, because they were both taken from their ship. So they took they took basically the captains of each ship.
See. I don't know, for some reason, when I watched that episode when I was younger, I thought that it was just like a monster.
No, So it's funny because basically, a space, like a Q type entity or like an entity is able just to pluck them and put them on the planet and have them fight. So what's interesting is you realize that's like a terrifying character, but now knowing that like all these other things that it can be, that how, is just disgusting and even more scary. And knowing we're going to have I think it's episode 3 or episode 4 coming up, we have a Gorn episode.
Right. In Enterprise, they had some Gorn too, but they didn't, they touched on them, but they didn't really get really deep into them.
Right.
And, the Gorn are going to be gnarly. Excuse me, guys.
Hey, who's having
hold on. Ban that person in the chat, please. That's advertising.
Remove.
I did the wrong thing. I can't.
Just remove
report.
Them, right?
There you go. Report.
Oh, report. Okay.
Yeah. So they can't come back.
There's a lot of them.
Yep. I can't. Now I can hide them. There you go. All right. So I reported them, I kicked them, and there they're heading. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Because that cannot get our stream turned off. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Okay. So yeah, who's right now is living La Vida Loca. It's the guy who played the original Gorn who goes to every one of the Star Trek conventions. Like he's got all his stuff signed. It was like, the Gorn live.
The Gorn live.
Old dude, right? Yeah, always taking pictures with everybody.
They better have, I don't think the Gorn are going to be people in makeup.
No, I don't. Well, I don't know.
Because in Enterprise, the Gorn were like 3D characters.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what they do.
So, but if they are people in makeup and that poor guy doesn't get a cameo.
Yeah, right.
After like 60 years of holding the Gorn up, 50 years of Gorn this, Gorn that.
They 100% would do that if that was the case.
Or at least make him like, if they are 3D, please make him one of the people that get eaten by a Gorn in a scene or something.
Something, right?
That'd be only fitting, right?
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So he beams down. He's like, "Oh, hey guys." I thought that was cool.
Oh yeah, he's like, "Hey,
sorry, I'm late."
He's disarming. He's like, "I'm not threatening," kind of thing. And then he goes on to basically show them what they're about to do to their planet.
Oh, I love when he takes over their TV like it's no big deal. He's like, "Let me just."
Right. Yeah.
Very, Tony Stark moment there.
It's kind of like you when you come to my house and all of a sudden, I'm like, how is he doing that?
That's true. I also love that their signs are not in English. Thank God.
Right.
Thank God there's some weird language. I'm sure there's some hardcore Trekkies out there literally making an alphabet out of this new language right now.
Well, yeah.
And yeah, he shows that like in 21st century, there was riots. There was this quick scene of like the January 6th thing. I'm assuming they're referring to like the 6 or 7 months of riots that led to a civil war. And he does say there was a civil war and then eugenic war. And I guess he was just clumping them all into one area. But he set them out of order though, right?
Yeah.
Because eugenic wars did come before civil war.
Yes, the eugenic. Yeah, I think he was just lumping it all into the same time frame. So it would have been from 1990 through 2030, 2050. Right. Well,
yeah. Then he talks about World War III, and how it decimated the planet and blah blah blah.
And he showed visualness of it, which is neat because we've never had any actual visual.
Look at that carnage, dude! Oh my
Yeah.
god, I gotta play us a little bit of this, right?
I mean, that's nuclear war, brother.
Jeez.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Don't ever want one of those to go off. Hey,
No, we
dear
don't.
Soviet Union, I'm sorry, Russia. It's not Soviet Union anymore. Dear Russia, Putin, take a look. Don't do that, okay? Let's just leave Ukraine alone.
What about North Korea? I'm like, North Korea are still working on smartphones. I think we'll be okay.
They do have nuclear weapons, though.
They're like stuck in the 80s though. Like they're still in like the 80s.
They still have they have a bomb, then.
Okay. All right.
Still scary. They could hit Japan.
I feel like if North Korea was actually a threat, like there'd be some like black ops CIA guys that just flies overboard, just jumps down there, just murders Kim Jong-un and just walks away.
You would think, but you don't want to go around assassinating people because you never know what's going to happen to you.
The way wars are fought now are at least the way the United States fights wars now, like real wars, is I don't think they really fight them the way they used to. I think a lot of wars are now back alley deals, CIA nonsense, and just sort of covert stuff. And like they just sort of keep everyone else out of it now.
Right.
It's bad. You know why? Because it's bad for business.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. Yeah, that's true.
Sorry. Back to this. I like the makeup on the new characters too. I'd love them actually.
Yeah, that was good. No, I really did. I liked it. This was the first time, no joke. This is the first time I got like Star Trek goosies since Enterprise. Like where I feel that moment of hope, where I feel like the way I feel when I watch Star Trek, especially the first time I watch a series, is I just have this wonderful feeling. Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I just have this wonderful feeling inside where I get these, kind of the happy shivers. Yeah. I got that with this, man. I got it here.
Goosebumps.
I got it. I felt the Star Trek in my soul.
Yeah.
And it just like I used to. And I'm so happy. I can't wait for next week already.
Yep. And we got a little bit of everyone. I like how they showed that their entire culture is now changed because of this. Like they're in school, they're learning about the ship. They're making little, they're actually showing what the difference between the Vulcans and them are.
Right.
Like their entire culture now is being changed because of this first contact.
Yep. It's completely impacted.
Right.
Just like it probably was with Earth when the Vulcans came.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like an Orville. That one planet, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They're making that's cool. Great. Awesome. The space station is lit. I love the space station. So cool. And they even explain how, I guess originally these little pods or whatever they were, like they were up there for some other purpose, and Starfleet built around them, which is really cool.
It was to save the seeds before nuclear war happened.
Right. Yeah.
So awesome. That is similar to what a space station looked like in TOS as well.
It is,
which is kind of cool.
Yeah, really cool stuff.
You just pull the ship up and get off,
Yeah, very cool. Loved it. Loved everything about it. Yeah, I got nothing to say but good stuff. And I love his badge. He has the Admiral.
Yeah, that's cool.
Awesome. I want that badge. Yeah, man. And you got anything else here?
Oh, yeah. So we got to talk about Lieutenant Kirk, who finally came to the bridge.
Okay, let's get to that. Let me fast forward to that.
Because it said Lieutenant Kirk's on his way to the bridge, and I went, what the heck is going to happen right now?
I was so worried until there he is, until Porn Stash came on.
I know, right? So
they said it was George Samuel Kirk, which is Kirk's older brother, who was a scientist, basically.
Yes. So Sam Kirk is James T. Kirk's brother. Mm-hmm. And he was actually, the character was in the original series, but he only appeared as a dead body.
Right.
And he was played by William Shatner with a mustache.
Right. But look how perfect.
I know.
This guy's a ringer for that dead body.
And he works for Spock, which is fantastic.
Which is awesome.
So here's what's really cool. We are going to get Kirk and his brother and Sam interaction, I think, during season 2. Yeah. Like their relationship was going to be somewhat explored.
That's awesome.
That is pretty cool. So yeah, so they got us, and they did this on purpose, which is pretty clever. They're like, whoa, what's going on? And then we get, and it's part of canon. It's accurate. So that was great.
It's really good. It's really
clever. Good writing, guys. Good job. Hey,
good writing.
Credit where credit's due. New Star Trek.
Listen, I have not said this. I have not said this in a very long time. Well done.
Yeah.
In a very long time, I've said stuff like, oh, good or bad, or that wasn't a bad episode, or good start, all that. I don't think I've said in any of our podcasts at any moment about Star Trek until now, that was good. It was good writing, good character development. It was fun. It was informative. It expanded on Star Trek. In every way, this was an amazing episode of Star Trek and a perfect start to Strange New Worlds. Yeah, very good.
We did have high praise for Picard season 1, episode 1.
We did, but we still said we are consciously optimistic. I'm sure it's fine.
Picard shook us a little bit.
Right, because Picard season 1 shook us. So this is great because, I mean, dude, I'm looking. Next week is gonna be great. I can't wait. Every week is gonna be an amazing episode of Star Trek. I hope.
And we'll be breaking it down for you. I mean, granted, we've been talking now for 3 hours and 50 minutes for 2 shows. Luckily, Picard is done. So now we'll just be talking about Strange New Worlds every week. So make sure you guys come back. And for you guys that have just stalwarts, have been stayed here and watching the whole time, we love you and appreciate you so much. Just so thankful for you guys.